Hello PPL fans and welcome back to Heat of the Week for Week 6 of the PPL. My name's Shroomraver, he's OnesieBanette, and my goodness, a bumper episode we have in store for you today. So much heat going on, heat so hot they had to change the rules.
They did indeed. They also had to change my hair colour.
They did, yes. We are looking mighty red today and mighty dapper, I must say. Hashtag bars.
Absolute bars. Absolute bars. Jesus Christ. But yes, what a week we have had here. This has been one of my favourite weeks for Heat of the Week we've had so far, and it's came right at the end of the season when coaches are trying to experiment and try and push the boat out to try and secure playoffs. So yeah, we've decided to expand the format because in your own words, Dave, that's a thing we can do.
Yeah, this is our series. We can do mostly what we want, you know, within reason. But yes, so much heat going on. It's not a top 3 today. Oh, no. We've got a top 5 because that's something we can do. And we're going to dive straight in at number 5 this week. And that is going to be Shuckle King, coach of the Philadelphia Stunkies, coming up against Drew's New York Marauders. Coming in with something you don't see all that often, physically defensive Noivern. Not the most bulky of things. You see Fizz-Def Dragons here and there, but Noivern coming in with the niche of Super Fang, which was a really nice bring on his part. Super Fang coupled with the Draco, able to take out a number of threats on his opponent's side. Yeah, it's just not something you see every day, and that's what we're here for, isn't it?
That's what we like. I mean, Heat of the Week, heat for a season. It's unconventional sets that do work, and this Noivern, I think for me, personally, I think I was saying to you before we started recording, I'm a little bit desensitized to it because I do a lot of team building with Killua Boom, Danny, and he loves bringing Fizz-Def Noivern because it's one of about 3 fast defoggers this generation.
Yeah.
So he just brings it Fizz-Def with defog every week. But I had to take a step back and think, you know what, no, this actually is quite a decent out there unconventional set, and it probably did deserve mention. So yeah, I can get behind this as number 5. Pretty decent mon. I mean, it's not the bulkiest thing as you mentioned, but it does have a surprising amount of HP. Yeah. I think it's like in the high 80s, I believe. I might be wrong on that, and if I'm wrong, then the editors will probably tell us so on screen right now.
For sure.
For sure. But yes, it's not the frailest of mons, so running it bulky is a viable option, I think.
Yeah, I think so. But deserving of its position, and fun trivia fact with Shroom about Shuckle King's team, I quite like this. He brings a Noivern, he brings a Carmine Salak Espion, he had no special attack investment across his whole team.
We like that.
I quite like to mention that. I thought that was fun.
And this concludes today's episode of Heat of the Week with Shroomraver.
Yes, precisely. But we move on from there to number 4 on the list, and that is going to be our subbing in coach Uzi with the Bullet Punch Club, coming up against Q's Chicago Dragapults, bringing with him Specs Vaporeon. Again, something that we've seen a little bit of. You don't see it all that often. Vaporeon, for me, has always been one of those bulky waters that suffers so massively from 4 move slot syndrome despite having a fairly small move pool itself. So Specs isn't the most out there thing, but it's certainly not the kind of thing you expect, especially coming up against a Volcanion, which he was. But yeah, it was a very nice bring, along with Double Edge Regen Cyclizar, which I know is his big go-to, but we liked Specs Vaporeon, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. I mean, you see Vaporeon and everyone hyper-fixates on it during the the team building phase and thinks, oh, how am I going to break down that big 110 special defense? Is it 110 or is it 130? I don't know. It's a lot. It's too much. Everyone focuses on how am I going to break down this thing defensively, and then it fires off a Specs Hydro Pump, and you think, oh, that's a thing that it can do.
Yeah.
And Uzi has been pretty on it with the heat this season. This Specs Vaporeon did pretty well in the actual game. It ended up grabbing itself a kill before unfortunately going down. But yeah, it's a fun set. I mean, it was a pretty effective wall break during the game. So yeah, deserves mention here.
Yeah, Uzi coming in late to the season, but making up for lost time with Heat of the Week, and that is what we like to see.
Absolutely. Moving on to number 3, we have instead of heat, we have a bit of blaze this time.
We sure do.
A trailblaze calm mind Florges from Lars L. Sizzle and the Borussia Donphan, which was very, very effective in breaking down Jack's team this week. Very, very good bring. Once it's set up, it was basically unstoppable. It just ripped through hole after hole, and Jack had to sack basically half his team to it before he was able to bring it down. But by that time, the damage was done. Trailblaze on a Florges. What do you think of that?
Big fan of this. I think this is Lars' debut in the top 3 of Heat of the Week, so welcome, Lars. I think in a meta that a lot of people have said is going really hyper offense, Lars struggled early trying to play a more defensive game. So coming in with double setup Trailblaze Calm Mind Florges, really nice bring, picked up a couple of KOs as well. Very intelligent stuff. I mean, we know that Lars is known for thinking outside the box in a lot of incidences, and this was certainly that. You're not always expecting Florges to be setting up speed. But there it goes. It did, and it got 2 kills, netted itself a really good performance, helping Lars take the W.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, hashtag just Lars things, I guess. This is classic vintage Borussia Donphan things happening right here.
Oh yeah, back to the Lars of old, and we love to see it. Now, I know what people watching PPL are thinking. Alex knows what people watching PPL are thinking. 2 very, very sizable talking points when it comes to Heat of the Week for Week 6. So before we get into that, let's go to our honourable mentions.
Oh, the drama, the suspense.
Because again, that's the thing we can do. It's our show. Yeah, we wanted to mention the game between Addison and Envy because there are a couple of nice niche things going on there. First up on Addison's side, Power Herb Solar Beam Glamora. Power Herb Solar Beam is one of the OGs in terms of mild to mid heat, getting up there on the Nando scale. And we love to see it.
A step up from Lemon and Herb.
There's a couple of steps up from Lemon and Herb, let's be real. We love a bit of Power Herb Solar Beam. So I wanted to throw a mention to Addison there, who recently had a birthday. Happy birthday, Addison.
Happy birthday, Addison. And this is your present. An honourable mention in this week's Heat of the Week.
Delightful. Going up against Envy in that game, who answered back with Calm Mind, Boom Burst, Rattled, Terror, Normal, the Dunsparce. Envy has been getting great use out of the Dunsparce this season, and this was certainly no exception.
Absolutely. I mean, everyone he's played with this Dunsparce has been done for, and it's been very good to see. I mean, last week getting a 6-0 sweep with it, very impressive stuff. This week using it to basically beat down Addison, who was running a very, very high in confidence, a very informed coach, and Envy's managed to topple her. So very, very good stuff from Envy, and good stuff from the Dunsparce, which just gets better week on week.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've mentioned the Borussia Donphan versus Vancouver Titans, and we want to mention Jack in the honourable mentions too. Rock Tomb Spidops. You were a big fan of this one, weren't you?
Oh yes, I thought it was just so smart. Like when you actually look at it, like it just made sense. I mean, there's a Talonflame on the other team. Why would you not? And
yeah.
Jack's got good value out of Spidops this season.
Really has.
Yeah, making top 3 Heat of the Week with that counter fling Spidops that was very cool. And this week it deserves another honourable mention as well. Doing massive damage to the Talonflame. Not able to pick up the KO, unfortunately. A little bit more attack investment maybe, or a little bit more chip on that Talonflame. Potentially would have netted a KO and brought Jack some progress in the game. But I thought it deserved a mention anyway. And maybe on another week it makes this top 5, but not this week, unfortunately.
Yeah, precisely. And also, of course, let's not forget the absolute Chad move of Jack bringing 3 moves on Enamorous. He'll say he didn't mean to. I think he probably did, because he's a Chad, and that's what he does.
Playing 4D chess with us.
He absolutely was, yeah. I mean, he's so many steps ahead. It's unreal. You know, we're playing Pokemon while he's playing Death Note.
He's playing. Oh, that's unconventional. I was expecting a Digimon reference there. He went all the way to the anime.
Absolutely, why not? This is Heat of the Week. We bring the heat. Speaking of which, I know you're all on the edge of your seats. Which did we put at number 1 out of the 2 big talking points of the week? Well, it came right down the middle. We had such a difficult time deciding, and as we've always said, with us running the show, we've put them both at number 1 because we can do that, And there were such different kinds of heat that we're going to do them both equal at number 1. First up, we'll talk about Ellie and the Shanghai Dragons versus Nexus's Pittsburgh Pichus with something that I've wanted to see work for so long, and have tried and failed to make work for so long. Trick ring target.
It's just so good. It's a chef's kiss right there. It's
It is. After sub-bulk up mono-attacking Terra Blast Fairy Hariyama had like ripped through a third of Nexus's team.
Let's be real, by the way, just before you carry on. That probably deserved a mention in honourable mentions as well. That was very, very clever and did a sizable chunk. So let's just put this as a late honourable mention. Ellie, you did good shit this week.
Very much so. But then comes in the Hooper Unbound, knowing that Nexus's answer was likely to be the Overquill. In comes said Overquill as Ellie tricks over a ring target. Ring target, of course, the item that when held allows moves that you normally be immune to hit you, at which point she absolutely bops it with Psychic. Oh, it was tasty. Oh, it was tasty.
I can feel it. That's like, if Addison's was a couple of steps up from Lemon and Herb, this was at the very spicy scale. Like, this was beautiful. Ellie obviously had a bit of a torrid season so far, but I think she's resorted now to running some stuff that it's kind of let her loose in her team building a bit. It kind of felt like she was stifling herself, trying to bring stuff that on paper seemed good and stuff that she wasn't necessarily as comfortable using, not really able to express herself. This was Ellie at her finest. This is beautiful, and yeah, it worked beautifully. It took out the Overquill, allowing basically Ellie's rest of the team to clean up. Hariyama set the stage early on. Hooper got rid of another Mon, and it was just GG from there. Very well played, very well executed, got rid of a target. Good shit.
Really impressive stuff from Ellie. We loved to see that. But of course, it is tied at number 1 with probably one of the biggest talking points of the week, it has to be said. The Mafia man himself, Don Mefesto and the Nice Jinx, going up against PokeAim's LA Wakers. And the Don, I like to think, looked at Joey's triple sacrifice team a couple of weeks back, looked at that and went, hold my beer, and brought a team of 5 with none of his big hitters. You look at some of like Mephisto's team, massive threats going on. He brought 5 Pokemon, none of his traditional massive threats were there.
No Chi-Yu, no Iron Bundle.
Nope, none of that. And then he proceeded to get 3 KOs with Fisher Donphan.
Okay.
What are you doing, Mephisto? What are you doing? How dare you?
What he's doing is making us have to change the rules mid-season is what he's doing.
Yes.
Firstly, I have to say, the reason we couldn't split these two is just because of the varying degrees of intention behind them. And basically, this is kind of hard to explain, so bear with me if I kind of mess it up, but the only reason that Mephisto did as much as he did in this game with Fisher Donphan was because Joey allowed it to happen. He'd basically won the game from that point, and the Donphan was just allowed to click Fisher a bunch of times, hit a bunch of times, and claim a bunch of KOs, which, I mean, cool, it's a Donphan, it's going to claim KOs, it did its thing. But had Joey decided to just switch in that Cresselia, it would have just been completely over, and it would have been incredibly, almost anticlimactic to watch at that point, because Joey would have just beaten down a guy who almost looked like he wasn't playing serious. So it's almost fair play points at that point to Joey. However, we could not look over the craziness of this team. It's almost like comparing apples and oranges compared to our other number 1, Ellie and the trick ring target. Like, there was so much craziness on this team. There was a Terra Normal Leech Seed sub Sawsbuck with Headbutt Serene Grace and Thunderwave. There was and I know you said before the game, you do not do this. This is like a no-go, but there was a double team Sweet Kiss Pikachu. Like, Mephisto, who hurt you? Are you okay?
The audacity. The lion, the witch, and the audacity of this bitch to come in.
The charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent of this bitch.
Unbelievable. I mean, we know that, things happen in the Mafia are a little bit different from how we do things around here. But Don Mephisto looked at the rules and went, right, how can I abuse what's not there? And did. And yeah, that is... I don't think I've ever seen an enforced rule change halfway through a season because of what one coach has done in their audacity. And I respect it in a way. I respect it in a way. We couldn't not put this up there. It had to be done. There was no alternative. So yeah, Don Mephisto, for making us change the rules of the league halfway through, you have earned your spot. Join to top the podium. Congratulations.
I think one thing that we can both categorically say about that particular pick, the Mephisto, I'm just going to call it the Trick House team.
Yeah.
I don't really know what else to call it, but I think what we can categorically say about it is that it's going to be the most unique thing brought to the PPL this season. Regardless of what happens in the rest of the season, unless someone... It's going to take an insane amount of... I don't even know how anyone would possibly get around this, but it's definitely the most unique team we've seen. And that's taking into account Joey's final Gambit spam.
Yeah. And on a personal note, Mephisto, we do hope that having put the Don at the top, our kneecaps are safe. You will not be coming for them. Alex won't be waking up with any more horses' heads in his bed.
I've had 2 already. No more, please. I can't deal with this.
Yeah, it's enough is enough. We've paid you the blood money. Leave us in peace.
Oh God, Dadon.
What a week. What a time to be a PPL viewer, analyst, player, anything. It has been crazy, and I'm looking forward to seeing how our coaches are going to try and one-up this next week and in the weeks to come. But that is going to be a story for another time. Congratulations to all our coaches who are in this week. Looking forward to seeing how you one-up it next time. But I think with that said, that is pretty much all we have got time for today. So, thank you all so much for watching. Remember, if there's anything we missed, down in the comments, let us know. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of debate. We love hearing your guys' views. And we'll be reading all of those comments in advance of future videos. So, that is going to be it from us. Our final thank you to you all for watching. And with that, we will see you next time. Laters.
Catch you later.